computer. Hello everyone and welcome along to another Vibrant Living Talk for Busy Women. Thank you so much for either coming along live or watching the replay. My name is Melissa Lowe. I'm a nutrition and health coach and owner of the Thrive Guide. And we've got someone missing in action today, Regina, who's a Living Lighter facilitator, but hopefully she will pop back on soon. And we have the lovely Mariana, if you just want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do.
Hi guys, Mariana here, naturopath and medical herbalist. I love supporting and educating busy moms to take control of their health and their kids' health. And I'm especially focusing currently on helping with the management of stress and anxiety for the families. So that's me, and welcome back to our third series.
Yes, we've had I think this is our fourth one actually, isn't it? So this is our number 4, yeah, because we've had 3 more. One which you, I'm sure you've got them up on your website, and I've got them on mine. Previous talks one we did and on how to take those healthy habits you had in the first lockdown and put them into your day now that normal life had resumed. Then Regina did one on exercise, fitting that into your day, and I did one on nutrition, healthy eating, and yeah, being able to fit good foods into your day even though you're busy. And just a little bit about what I do. So my main focus at the moment, similar to Mariana, is busy mums, but mums that normally have children that are sort of at school age. So you've gotten through the baby preschool years and you're sort of late 30s, maybe 40s, early 50s, and you're just starting to look at yourself and go, what about me? So that's who I help. But today we're going to talk about something that is very close to my heart and that I have been through myself, and that is to do with gut health. Gut health is such a buzzword at the moment. I know, maybe 5 years ago you didn't really hear much about it, but everyone knows that a lot of health and wellness comes from what's going on in our gut. So if there's any questions or anything, pop them in the chat and we're going to answer them at the end. In the meantime, everyone will just stay on mute. And we'll just talk a little bit more at the end as well about where you can find us. Again, maybe some offers that we've got for you, and that there is going to be a replay sent out, so even if you can't stay the whole time. So Regina, I'm going to pass it over to you, and you're going to tell us about gut health and how we can just improve our health and wellness by focusing on this very important area in our body. Tell us more.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you. Mariana, not Regina.
Oh, sorry. Oh, God. I am sorry, Mariana. I just must have had Regina in my head. There you go.
Anyway, I'm going to try to open this huge topic about gut and our gut health. It is a really huge topic, and I'm trying to squeeze really in a small amount of time, so please bear with me. And I would like you to understand how some factors like stress, environmental toxins, food that we eat can affect our gut health. I will go through the explaining what is the microbiome and how we can improve the health of our microbiome. Then I will touch a little bit on how our gut health is connected with our mental health issues and any other chronic conditions. So at the end, I would have one bonus for all our listeners and whoever planning to listen later on the recordings, what I will reveal at the end. So as long as, let's say, about 2,500 years ago, father of medicine, old ancient Greek doctor Hippocrates said and stated that all disease begins in our gut. And today, many years after that, many scientific research confirmed and proved that at least 90% of our health problems and diseases begins really in the gut. So that's why you will hear from me or any other naturopath or any other functional health practitioner bragging all the time about gut health and starting and assessing your gut health first and connecting with all other alignments that you're coming to see us for. what is actually your gut? Your gut is just another name, common name for your digestive system. And your digestive system, if you know, you haven't heard before, starts from your mouth and end up in the rectum. So what we have in between is our whole group of other organs like stomach, pancreas, gallbladder, liver, small and large intestine. So simply, gut health is just wellness. It's a well-being of a group of those organs, which represents our digestive system. So did you know that length of your gut is 8.5 meters only total, and that surface of your whole gut, if we be able to stretch it, would be about 6 double bed sheets. So we need, as you can see, it's a huge surface and huge length of the organ in our body. And why we need that? We need that we can properly digest food that we intake to the really macroscopic sizes of nutrients that our bloodstream can absorb those nutrients and then transfer all around our body to our cells and our organs and nurture our organs. So that's why digestion of food could take anything from 12 to 24 hours. So from the time, and we look at the time when you put your food in the mouth and when the waste end up in the loo. When your gut is not functioning properly, the activities or other systems in our body also could be compromised because our gut, our GI tract is the engine of our body. It extracts, as I mentioned, extracts nutrients from the food that we consume and transports all around our body, giving the energy to every cell of our body. So when our gut is unhealthy, the whole body is at risk because digestive, immune, nervous, and endocrine systems are really interconnected in our body. And they communicate to each other all the time. So when we have a healthy gut, we have a really vibrant energy. Our immune system is strong. Our minds are sharp. Our skin is glowing. So we are just a perfect picture of vitality. Then on the other hand, our gut is imbalanced, inflamed, all other aspects of our health are suffering. So when we suffering from some issues, gut health issues, it is impossible not to notice that in our everyday life, because you could be suffering from embarrassing digestive symptoms like bloating, gas, flatulence, diarrhea. So you will be looking all the time for the loo whenever you go. So you start avoiding going to social gatherings and gatherings with your family. Then you just start feeling that you can't do everything what you were doing before in your life, and you start feeling miserable. So at the same time, when our gut becomes unhealthy, inflamed, that influence the development of many chronic diseases, like could be mental health disease like anxiety, depression, autism, many autoimmune diseases, cancers, everything is connected to the gut health. Even common complaints like a low energy, fatigue, pains and aches in our body, constipation, eczema, skin issues are also going back to the gut issues and gut health. So why is that? We can ask question now, why is that happening now? Well, that's possibly, and that is actually not only possibly, it is because in the last 100 years, our way of life is totally changed. There are many advances in technological advances in our food production, technological advances in our communication, huge advances in modern medicine. So now this is all happen just to address all our busy lives and our shortage of time every day. So what we have now, we have overly processed food. We have ability to communicate to anybody in any other country of the world without leaving our office or without leaving our home. And we have access to really very modern medicine, not talking about pharmaceutical medication, but also any medical interventions. So we used to that new modern life of living, but at the same time, our lives are totally changed because our lives become more sedentary and they are more removed from the nature. They are much more exposed to the screens and to the environmental toxins. So where are those environmental toxins coming from? They're coming from our food, which is loaded with toxins, heavy metals, hormones, then coming from our water that could be polluted also with some residue of pharmaceutical medications, for example. Coming from the air, what we breathe in, there's lots of heavy metals and other toxins coming from the air. So all that cumulative influence of the environmental toxins on us and everyday life taking toll on our health, especially on our gut health. So what is the main and vital part of our gut? It's our family of microbiome or community of microbiome, and our gut, how we also call it, our gut microbiota. So that's all microorganisms that lives in our gut. And this community could have different species like bacteria, viruses, fungus, in very, very different species of each of them that can help us digest our food, make vitamins in our body, produce neurotransmitters, and supporting our immune systems, and much, much more.
Just ask one question there, Mariana.
Yes.
With the microbiome, can you just explain exactly where that is?
Well, microbiome, yeah, it's supposed to be mostly based in our large intestine. Yeah. But right. When we have an imbalanced microbiome, we have some issues. We can have some microorganism going into our small intestine, causing small intestinal overgrowth, bacterial overgrowth. So yes, we also have a certain microbiome in other parts of our body. It could be on our skin, on our vagina. So yeah, it's not necessarily only placed in the gut, but yeah, the amount of it's in our gut. And did I answer your question?
Yeah, no, I just thought, yeah, it'd be good to talk a bit about that, but yeah.
We have about 10 trillion bacteria alive in our body, 10 trillion bacteria compared to 1 trillion, only 1 trillion of our cells that building our body. So you can really see that we are practically made from our microbiome. So that microbiome rate's also same as our brain and have about 100 times more genes than your entire DNA. So I found those very funny information. I think they're amazing. I mean, what our microbiome, what does in our organism, and what does for our health and for keeping us alive and balanced. So that microbiome communicates with our cells and have the ability to affect our mood, to affect our hormones, to affect our immunity. And many of you maybe heard, maybe not, that about 70% of our immune system resides in our gut, and it's supported with that microbiome. So we basically rely on our gut to keep us healthy, nourish our body, and keep us free from infections and danger. So also another fun fact is you very well know that your fingerprints and your DNA, it's really only specific for one person in the world. There's no two people who have the same fingerprints, and that's obviously used for forensic science and proof. And the recent studies also showed that actually microbiome composition is the same, that microbiome composition is really only specific for one person, and even identical twins doesn't have the same composition of microbiome at all.
Wow, so it's that bio-individuality, isn't it?
Yeah,
we're all different.
It is really amazing, mind-blowing. It's 100% unique just for you. So we obviously rely on those microbiomes, as I mentioned, and we call them also as a common name as a good bacteria. And at the same time, we also have a pathogen species, what we call bad bacteria. And they are really important to be in a balance and important for many processes in our body, as I mentioned: immunity, protecting from the pathogen species, maintaining healthy digestion, balancing our hormonal levels, and healthy brain, healthy cognitive functions. So you can imagine the gut as your master control center, and that controls immune response. So basically, any immune system in the gut, this resides in the gut, in microbiome in the gut, make a lot of decisions on how body gonna react when something like bugs, outside bugs, attack our body from different ways and entries in our body. So they have to, the immune system have to decide how to react. So, for example, any kind of sinus infection, any kind of UTIs that maybe you're suffering from, or any skin issues could be all traced to your back to dysfunction in your gut, your microbiome imbalance. So, why is that microbiome important? Because obviously that's what I'm talking about now. That this microbiome composition and balance is easily influenced through our lifestyle, habits, and environment. So when that host of bacteria, microbiome, is in balance, this can lead to many adverse effects that ranging from different chronic conditions that I already mentioned, like mental health, endocrine disorders, and cancers, and any other chronic condition. So in general, what we're looking for is to have a balanced microbiome, diversity. So we want to have a more good bacteria compared to the less amount of species of bad bacteria. When this community is composed in the right balance of microorganism, they support really healthy metabolism in our body, healthy immune system, hormone production, and production of our neurotransmitters. However,
production of what? I missed that last word.
Of neurotransmitters.
Oh, neurotransmitters, yeah.
Yeah,
the brain,
and messages from our brain to our gut.
Yeah.
So food, stress, chemical exposure, as I mentioned, cleanliness that we are just striving for, especially now in this COVID era, where we live. It's really have a major impact on our microbiome and a balance and imbalance of that microbiome. So that's all going, what I already mentioned about the last 100 years, how is everything changing in our environment. So microbiome patterns can vary from person to person due to different environmental conditions, how they live, where they live. That's why we have a totally different for each person in the world. So when our beneficial species, when our good bacteria is in low numbers or are totally depleted, then opportunistic, those bad bacteria and pathogens, also opportunistic pathogens coming from outside, can take over and have a really determined effect on our health, resulting in chronic diseases. So also your microbiome can control how many calories you absorb from your food you eat. So will you take all the nutrients from food you eat or not, or it can control your cravings. So if we have an imbalanced gut, if you have more bad bacteria, and some specific bad bacteria will cause some cravings of the processed food or sugary foods. Or on the other hand, if we have a good amount of the required good bacteria, then we will have a good balanced cravings of the good healthy foods like a veggie and a fruit.
So you're saying it's not our fault if we're craving chips and chocolate, it's the bacteria's fault.
Exactly. In many cases, that's bacteria's fault, and you can't really control that because you feel that urge that you need to have that chippies, that you have the chocolate, and you have, it's fine to have, obviously, a little bit, but if you have constantly, that's not good. So that's why we're trying to examine what's happening in your gut and to find out what is the composition of your gut. So if you're also lacking on energy, if you're exhausted all the time, this could be also because your healthy microbiome might be totally depleted and imbalanced. So if I want to recap now, what does microbiome do in our body? So breaks down, absorbs nutrients from our food that we eat, communicates with the brain and our immune system, produces hormones, produces sex hormones, produces brain chemicals, messengers, what I said, neurotransmitters to talk to our brain, processing waste, extract calories from our food, use hormones from the body, managing inflammation. And I thought that you, Melissa, can tell us more actually about that connection between our gut and our gut health and hormone production and hormone processing in our body, because you are interested in that area.
Yeah. Well, the hormone side. Yeah. And why I'm interested in this area, because that is what I went through. I had horrendous PMS and tried all sorts of things, nothing worked. And it wasn't until I cleared up what I was eating, but also my lifestyle as well, like managing that stress, that I miraculously became PMS free. I couldn't believe it. Took me half my life to do it though. And so just a brief insight into what goes on there. And, you would have heard Mariana talking about the endocrine system. And so basically that's a specific amount of glands like within our body, and they all talk together. They're quite amazing. But what happens quite a lot is with PMS is it's normally like to do with an estrogen dominance. So with the several sex hormones, but estrogen and progesterone, if you get this gap sort of happening between the two, where estrogen is a lot more dominant when it should be coming down, you're going to be getting these issues. It's the crankiness and the crying and the heavy periods, and you turn into some crazy woman, and it's not very nice. I know it well. I used to know it well. And so what we want to be doing there is definitely, like Mariana was saying, is looking at what we're eating and our stress and all that things. And what kind of happens with estrogen is once it's done its job, it's meant to be eliminated from our body. So it arrives, it's got sort of 3 phases to go through. So it arrives at the liver. Phase 1, the liver is quite good at kind of getting the estrogen through that phase, and it alters it slightly. But then when estrogen gets to phase 2, that's where things can go a little bit sluggish, because if your liver's overloaded, so it could be overloaded with all those fun things, alcohol, caffeine, it might be gluten, it might be dairy, it might be toxins, you're either breathing in or putting on your body that you don't even realize, or using around your home and cleaning products. It can also be with stress or whatever's going on, and your liver's just like, I am dealing with all this stuff, estrogen, I can't handle you at the moment. So I know you're from the body. I'm going to open this trapdoor and send you back into the bloodstream. And so the estrogen you are meant to get rid of, you don't. And that's where you get that estrogen dominance arising. Now, where gut health comes into this is that's the phase 3. So even if the liver does its job wonderfully with, removing the estrogen, when the estrogen gets into your gut, well, I suppose it'll be into the colon, the large intestine, the estrogen is bound, and there's a particular, to have it eliminated, there's a particular enzyme that can come along and unbind the estrogen and send it back into your body anyway. So you just end up with estrogen dominance again. So it's really important to be looking at that healthy eating, stress management, all those kind of things that are going to support your gut health and take the load off your liver, so you can detox effectively and remain hopefully kind of sane before the time of the month arrives.
Before the period,
Yeah,
thank you, Melissa. So I want to add one more thing about our gut and gut microbiome, that also this microbial community in our gut protect our gut barrier, what is our gut lining, what is only thin, one cell thin, and also have some junctions that could open when we need nutrients to go into the certain spaces into the bloodstream, and when we want waste to go back into our colon. So when our microbiome is imbalanced, that will also affect our gut lining, and that can cause our immune system to react and make up inflammation, and that can really interfere and damage our gut lining, causing hyperpermeability, what is called leaky gut, which many of you maybe heard about leaky gut. So leaky gut is a condition which the intestinal lining lose that integrity, and that doesn't, those junctions not open even only when they need to open. They open and they allow in also some toxins, some waste hormones, what you already mentioned. So estrogen, what is not processed properly, it's coming back in our body, and it's also getting in. So all those undigested pieces of food, all those toxins, our body and our immune system see as a toxin, and reacting on it and making inflammation to protect our body. So that's where we end up with a huge inflammatory response and huge inflammation in our gut. And in many cases, what's happening, that inflammation and that reaction, if that leaky gut is happening over the time period, long time period, our immune system reacting constantly. So there's a chronic response of our immune system, and chronic production of inflammation will end up causing production of secondary inflammation somewhere in our body. So we can end up with some other chronic issues like we have inflammation in our brain, inflammation in our joints, causing those kind of problems in our body. Or we can have an autoimmune response that when our body and our immune system attacks our own cells, recognizing and thinking that they are invaders to our body and trying to protect us. So then we end up, when we have a inflammation in our gut, with some autoimmune diseases like Crohn's diseases, like ulcerative colitis, stuff like that. So every time that there's unwanted particles or pathogens enters our bloodstream, and immune response is triggering that and producing inflammation, and that wheel of events is happening, and that's how we get to end up with many chronic issues and chronic conditions, not only with our gut health, but could be anywhere in our body.
And it's so interesting because people will go, oh, I've got this wrong with me, like, you know, sore joints, and we'll go to the doctor and we'll get given a pill or cream or whatever. Whereas there's been a process of that leading out up to it with gut health, you know, and you're not going to get many doctors going, well, how's your gut health? What can we work on here to reduce things down? Instead, it's just giving a pill, you know, instead of looking at this whole process that's happened.
Yeah, that's why naturopaths or any nutritionist, any functional practitioner, functional medicine practitioner will look the person in front of us and whole person and what is happening in their body, not only the condition, what might be diagnosed and might be happening just at the part of your body, not just your brain, or just what I will keep talking about very soon about that, with connection with the brain. So before I go on to the mental health and connection with the gut, only want to mention the digestive symptoms of leaky gut could be anything from constipation, diarrhea, brain fog, irritable bowel symptoms, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, celiac disease, and many other autoimmune diseases. So I would like to go now on to the explaining how is and where is that connection between our gut health and our mental health. So there is a definitely power connection between our gut health and how we feel. Did you know that your gut health can contribute to brain-based issues like anxieties, depression, ADHDs? So that gut-brain connection axis is very well documented with lots of research, and that's covered, and it's proof that they talk to each other, and there's those neurotransmitters which sending signals to gut from the brain and from the gut to the brain. So anxiety, for example, might be contributing to our gut issues, but there is also gut issues like IBS that can cause and promote anxiety in somebody else. So there's a two-way road, what's happening between brain can affect gut, gut can affect brain. Changes in a brain or changes in the gut. So that's by directional communication between gut and health, it's that showing that our gut affecting our moods, and but our mood also affecting our gut, and you can treat one, but you can't treat just one without treating another one. So we, as you said, we can look whole picture, we can look whole body, we can look actually whole person in front of us. And I'm not going to go into detail here now. That communication is happening thanks to our autonomic nervous system, especially our vagus nerve, which goes from our brainstem to the large intestine, that actually is transferring and sending those messages and talking, providing an ability to talk between brain and the gut. I'm not going to go really into detail because then we're not going to have time for everything.
Another talk.
So if there is not good communication between brain and gut, this vagus nerve won't send enough information to the gut that all blood should be sent to the gut for the good digestion of food, or won't send enough information to our intestine to produce enzymes, digestive enzymes, to produce enough hydrochloric acid for digestion of food that food is actually coming. So if there is some imbalance, if there is some interruption, that's not going to happen. That's why we're going to start suffering with constipation, diarrhea, or any other gut issues. So when that's why I wanted to point out here again that it's so important to look like you said, whole person, and look the whole system and whole body, whole person in front of us, because it's not only if something's happening with the gut that is only happening with the gut. It's not only something happening with our mental health and how we feel, our moods, but could be affecting our gut and other parts of our body. And very often you heard that your gut is now called as a second brain because have about 200 million neurons inside the gut, and the gut has the ability to totally function independently because it has its own nervous system, what is called enteric nervous system, which works totally independently from the brain. And also the gut microbiome, what I was explaining before, is have a huge influence on how our neurotransmitters are produced, our hormones are produced, and effects on our energy levels and many other functions in our body. So obviously what's happening in the gut is not necessarily stays in the gut. Your gut affecting everything from fatigue, your moods, depression, anxiety, Crohn's disease, digestive issues. So if microbiome have been attacked and affected by chemicals, antibiotics, and other toxins that we expose in life, what we already mentioned, from the food, the environment, air, household cleaners, what we use, our makeup, anything what we use, it's full of toxins, then our gut microbiome will be destroyed and imbalanced. Which, as I mentioned and explained before, causing the reaction of our immune system, causing production of inflammation, and then if that is chronic, then we got a production of inflammation in some other parts of the body, and that's what happen in this case with the brain. We can have a production of so-called neuroinflammation, inflammation of brain that can have a huge effect on our ability to digest foods because it's disrupting that communication between brain and the gut, but also have a huge effect obviously on our mental state and on our mental health, and causing the symptoms like brain fog, fatigue, slow cognitive function and processing, especially very common at the moment, not at the moment, in the recent years, in young kids who are really sensitive on environmental toxins, what they taking through the food, or environmental toxins from the other parts, like a household cleaners or mold or anything else like that. So causing many of those behavioral chronic diseases like ADHD, autism, and anything like that.
Mm.
So chronic neuroinflammation also could be cause of anxieties and depression, as it reduces the ability of our brain to activate the frontal lobe. There is actually executive center responsible for mood regulation in our body and taking action of our thoughts and beliefs. So if that is affected, then we're not going to be motivated to do our everyday task and in our everyday life, like we know that how people are feeling when they are suffering from depression and anxieties. So main point to optimize gut health is to have obviously optimal stable levels of blood sugars throughout the day. Stable blood sugar levels is needed to produce brain chemical messengers, neurotransmitters, what I already mentioned, like GABA, serotonin, dopamine, etc. And they are like hormones that control moods and anxiety. Producing stable levels of neurotransmitters is essential not only for the mood, but also for our gut health and our digestion. Because, as I said, that's the bidirectional interlinked process between brain and the gut.
So watching how much sugar you're eating, you're basically saying,
exactly.
But also that even with fruit, you know, people can overload on fruit, and it's like, that's a lot of fructose, which is basically sugar going in. So I know the World Health Organization recommends no more than 7 teaspoons of sugar a day, but for women, but that is sugar that is in, you know, the fruit, the pasta sauce, the ham that you just bought in the sandwich. So it's all in all those added foods. So it is.
And why is that? That's feeding our bad bacteria and balancing our gut microbiome. So, and then that's it's a that card effect affecting everything else in the chain. So if you have gut issues, it has shown that it causes irritability, obviously, and have a brain-based issues. And on the other hand, also, if you have a gut inflammation, it will cause, as I said, gut digestive problems. So inflammation in the gut, it's cause hyperexcitation in the brain that results in negative moods. And our fear-based thoughts and our stress that we experience every day can cause gut issues. So we know how strong is gut, as I mentioned, gut-brain connection. So I do fully believe that we can have a control of our emotional state, on our emotional thoughts, our everyday thoughts. So many of us go around and have that negative talk about ourselves, about events, about people around us, and that's all from our perception, what's happening in our head. And we can really easily change that by just practicing. When we mentioned that in our first episode when we talk about self-care and about management of stress, by practicing and implementing mindfulness and gratitude practice every day, but practicing every day constantly, that becomes habit. And then you are flooding your brain with the positive and happy thoughts instead of those negative, really stressful thoughts through your day. So there is a way to change that system and refrain in your brain. So this also points out that it's very important to to find out where is the problem, to discover likely underlying cause of imbalancing of your microbiome that are fueling inflammation in your body, or maybe fueling inflammation in your brain. So that would be always starting point for us to see and to try to resolve the issues that you have with your gut health, or maybe you have with your mental health. So on the last part of this podcast, I will be going just listing what hurts our microbiome. So what is that imbalancing our microbiome, and what we can do about it. So in there we have antibiotic use, or actually antibiotic overuse. We know very well that antibiotics are lifesavers to treat many very awful and bad bacterial infections. But in many cases, there is a lot of overuse of antibiotics. And we know that antibiotics also kills bad, but also kills good bacteria. So totally destroying our gut microbiome. And we need about a year to 2 years to really replenish and put our microbiome in balance, back in balance. Same goes with hormonal birth control that many women are on for years and years. And they also affecting the same way our gut microbiome. We talk about foods, so eating processed foods non-stop, it's not a good way. So just processed pizzas, breads, donuts, fried foods, it's not way. Why? Because we're not intaking the foods that are full of prebiotics, like fibers, what our good bacteria is actually feeding on. So we need that. Stress, we know how stress, we already mentioned that, affecting hugely anything in our body. So from our moods to imbalancing our digestion, imbalancing our gut microbiome, because during it's not only one-off stress. We're talking here about chronic stress, when we are in that's constant chronic mode of flight or fight, and when we actually having one hormone released all the time, which tells our body and our brain to release more blood to our limbs and to our brain, or to our heart, that we can fight the invader, that we can fight the danger, but actually to reduce the blood supply to our gut. And that's when we have start to have a problem with our digestion also, and we have a problem with the digestive issue. So also another way, we talked about how we can actually manage the stress. Again, in the first episode, and I'm not going to go back there. You can always go back and listen to the recordings. And another good influence is exercise, showing that exercising 30 to 60 minutes 3 times per week for 6 weeks, people were able to really improve their microbiome composition. But if they stopped, they will go back to the really imbalanced microbiome. So it's very important to implement exercises, your lifestyle changes, to do that every day or every second day, every week, not just for a certain period of time. And it's important to think that if you're spending a little time outside, that's not good. We have to be exposed to our many good beneficial bacteria outside. Go outside, walk on the beach, in the sand, in the mud, in the bushwalk. It's very important to get it energy from the nature. Also mentioned already, I'm not going to go back to the all chemical and pesticides exposure, totally affecting our gut. And what helps, so just opposite what I just said. So we have to look to improving our diet, improving the amount of prebiotics and fibers, probiotic foods that we intake, because fiber is a probiotic, is a food for our bacteria. We need food every day. Our good bacteria and our actually microbiome in the gut needs food to grow out, to grow all the time, and to balance itself all the time. Otherwise, they're going to die. So I would just quickly ask you, what would you recommend for the good sources of food sources for the fiber foods, with the fiber? They have a most content of fiber, or also same thing for the probiotic foods?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, just to touch again on that fiber, like definitely when a lot of people are doing like really low carb diets, like paleo, keto, those kind of things, quite often they have period issues because their body needs that fiber, you know, so it is really important, but it's got to be good fiber. So, you know, I'd be recommending, you know, your complex carbohydrates, so those, you know, really good quality root vegetables, as in, you know, pumpkins, carrots, kumara or sweet potato if you're overseas, you know, parsnips, weeds, turnips, all those kind of things are fantastic. And, you know, in general, all fruits and vegetables do have carbohydrates in them, and do have, they are carbohydrates, so they do have fiber in them. But yeah, those complex carbs. And then, you know, your healthy grains. So, you know, trying to move away from that white flour, getting into things like quinoa and buckwheat, and there's brown rice. Nuts and seeds are really important. LSA, which is linseed, sunflower seeds, and almond all ground up, is absolutely fantastic. That is so good for helping our body like detox toxins and hormones and all those kind of things. So getting things like that into your day, you know, if you're having you know, just making sure that most meals, not every meal, but you are getting some form of fiber over your day, and that it's not at a complete zero. And yeah, I mean, I know with myself, when we switched over into doing gut healing and that, yeah, with the fermented foods were great. It does, It depends on the person though. Some people are really great with fermented foods and others it just is too much. So if you start fermented foods, I'd just be starting it with small amounts and building up. You know, it wouldn't be going and eating a whole jar of sauerkraut. So sauerkraut, yes, that's fantastic, but you want to be getting if you're buying it, the fresh stuff and you know, in the chiller section in the supermarket. Is it Be Nourished? I can't quite remember. There's a couple of great ones out there that you can get. You can make sorry?
It's very wide variety now, I think, of the.
Yeah, there's a few. You can make it yourself. It is so cheap and easy to make it yourself. I've done it a lot. Then also, I just wrote some notes. So yeah, good quality miso. Kimchi, again, you can make yourself. There's kefir and there's kombucha, which you can make yourself as well. You sometimes have to be a little bit careful with some of the fermented foods when they're those kind of wild ferments, because they can be quite intense on our body. So again, it's just sort of taking it slowly. And bone broth is absolutely fantastic for gut health. We make a big, like for free, we just use our leftover chicken bones and veggie scraps and everything, and I make a big crock pot full every week, and we always have a big bowl of it in the fridge, and it's just used in so many things. Yes, and just use it as a drink or anything, and that is absolutely fantastic. But again, you want to start off slowly with because you're going to get that die off that kind of happens with your bad guys dying off, and you can feel a bit crappy. So
yeah, thank you, Melissa. That's
You're
true.
welcome.
Yeah. There is a very wide variety, what you can do lots with. So just don't forget your vegetables and fruit. And I would always spread to anybody and to my clients, eat just a rainbow of fruit and vegetables, and you will be sorted. Yeah. So also important for our gut microbiome health is drinking at least 2 liters of filtered water.
Yeah.
Eating more organic foods. We said all those foods are good, but actually. We have to think that organic food in some cases is very good, because we don't want to be loaded with those toxins, pesticides and hormones, to avoid all of that. Reducing the processed sugars, as I mentioned, and any other stuff that I mentioned and what we were talking about in the first couple of our series. So stress reduction and management, time spent outdoors, importance of exercise, implementing exercise, even if it's a gentle exercise, and social connection with family and friends. It's very, very important also for that gut and our mental health state. So that's would be my little bit long blurb about gut, but believe me, we can talk about days and days about that.
No, that's fantastic. And I mean, it's given everyone just sort of, a really good understanding of what goes on in our body. And, that word gut health thrown around so much today, but to hear it in more detail and how it is such a basis for what is going on for us. And with many of those things that can be going on physically or emotionally, if you look back into those topics you listed, like the healthy food, stress management, water, reducing toxins, getting in nature, if you start ticking those off, you're going to be improving your gut health and then relieving a huge amount of symptoms. I mean, when we did a specific gut healing diet, we couldn't believe, all these little issues that we had going on just disappeared. We were just like, oh, I don't have this and I don't get that, and that's gone. And it was incredible. So it is such an important thing to focus on. So yeah.
Just one thing come out of this presentation is just remember that everything really starts in the gut. Most of the problems and the pains and aches what you have later, your low energy, it is possibility there is some imbalance in your gut microbiome. That's enough to remember and to try to find out what is the cause.
Awesome. And so you were going to give us a little bit more info on a freebie or something you've got?
Oh yes, I will say what is my bonus, but is there any questions or anything like that?
We have a look. No, I think you've given us such a great overview that we're full of knowledge.
So I just want to again point out that connection between gut and brain, And if you are anxious or depressed, and because of your gut health, and anxiety make your gut health worse, and your gut then make on the other direction your mental health worse. So how we can break that cycle? And I'm just going to pinpoint again importance of practicing mindfulness, practicing gratitude, practicing meditation, and implementing that in your everyday life until that becomes habit. And that's definitely easily can turn around and make it easier and more manageable, your anxieties and your issues with your mental health issues, which also affecting your gut, or your gut affecting the mental health issues. So as a little bonus for anybody who listened and jumped on the live today, or whoever gonna listen to our recording, I just want to say that I developed one guide that uses proven steps for management and reduction of anxiety that I use with my clients. And this guide is really quick to read, 10 minutes. It's free. And if you're going to watch recording, or if you're on, just let me know and I will send you a copy of it. And you can find me on my website, www.changenaturopathy.co.nz, or on Facebook, Change Naturopathy, or Instagram also, change_naturopathy.
Awesome.
So thank you for listening today. My blurb about gut health would be a little bit overwhelming sometimes. I could be.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, Mariana. And just a bit about something that I am doing starting next week. So I've got the private Facebook group for busy mums, that's called Rediscovering You, Empowering Busy Mums, or the hash, I think the at symbol Rediscovering You Busy Mums. I'll send this all in the link. But next week we are starting boosting energy and balancing hormones, a 5-day smoothie challenge. You won't be just having smoothies, it's normal food, good food, but just bringing in these smoothies just to help clear up that gut health and, yeah, giving you more energy. So I'll send that out. There's a little ebook you can download with recipes, and then the challenge starts next week, and I'll be doing lives every day and giving more information. So I'll send that as well. Otherwise, I'm on website, the Thrive Guide, or my other Facebook page, or Instagram is the Thrive Guide with Melissa Lowe. But we will send this all out, and we'll send Missing Regina's info out as well, so you can check her out too. And yeah, thank you so much, Mariana, for your talk and all your amazing information. And I'm sure, people, even if they just pick a couple of suggestions to start with, to start improving their gut health, they are going to feel the benefits.
I really hope so that I help at least one person today, and then listen. And thank you, Melissa. Thank you for your input and answering the questions.
You're welcome.
And thank you guys for coming in during your lunchtime and listening. Thank you.
Okay. We'll see you later, everyone.
See you later.
Bye.
Have a great day. Bye.
See ya.